The following is a production of the Dallas Genealogical Society. For more information, please visit our website at www.dallasgenealogy.org.
Stephanie is going to tell us all about the 8th floor. Next month, Christine Charborough is going to tell us about the 7th floor. So we know all of these wonderful resources we have here in the Dallas Library. Stephanie is the manager of the History and Genealogy Division of the Dallas Public Library. And prior to that job, she had been a genealogist, genealogy librarian here. And she said she began her passion for genealogy about 7 years ago. And currently, what she really likes is connecting genealogy researchers with resources and making genealogy materials more accessible. She has 2 BA degrees from the University of Missouri-Columbia and an MLS from Texas Women's University. So she's very qualified for what she does.
Good morning. Thank you, Jean, for that wonderful introduction. Well, I am Stephanie Bennett, and I am standing in one of my favorite places, the 8th floor of the J. Erik Jonsson Central Library. Those of you who are connecting with us over the internet may not be aware, but our building is full of subject specialized floors. So each one represents a different subject heading. I personally think our floor is the best floor, but I may be partial. Let's see. So here is a picture of our building. Today we are going to talk about some ways that the library can help you enhance your research. You may have gotten started online, or you may have just started a family tree on Ancestry, and you may have hit one of those brick walls that we're so very fond of getting stuck with. But the library has more resources to help you with your research. And I'm going to go over a few of those today so that you're aware of all the different things that we have to offer in this really neat building. So, hitting the nail on the head here, what does the library have to help me with my research? We can help you find more information about your ancestors, learn social history about their lives, and give you clues on where to research next. The first thing that I want to profile is our wonderful staff of the 8th floor of the library. It may be a little bit blurry, but this is a picture taken from our last staff day, where we all get together as a library system and learn all about things all library related. Our shirts all say "We see dead people," because in genealogy you run into a lot of dead people. But what I really love about our staff is we all have our own subject matter expertise. We have people who've been researching their genealogy for over 30 years. We've got people with subject matter expertise in DNA and African American genealogy, or maybe even we have an expert on all things maps related, which is when you're doing in-depth research, it's very important. But we can help you with pretty much anything, your brick wall problem, locating a record that's maybe not on Ancestry or Family Search. We're here to guide you to the resources that not only do we have physically in this library, but that might be available in some county courthouse in the middle of nowhere where you didn't think to look. So we have a lot of experience and are here to help you find your dead people. We also have a fabulous group of volunteers that man our volunteer desk. This is a picture of one of our regular volunteers, Mary Francis. We just love having them here. They're here to help beginning genealogy researchers, people who have more advanced questions. They always have a smile and a warm enthusiasm for helping people with genealogy. We actually have some of the most tenured volunteer staff in the entire library system. Some people who've been volunteering with us for 30 plus years. So we're really, really lucky to have them here with us. Another thing that you would want to take advantage of here at the library is the number of programs that we offer. Susan just went over this a little bit, but the Dallas Genealogical Society offers monthly educational speakers, as well as seasonal seminars featuring nationally renowned genealogists, and then special interest groups, which can be on different subjects of interest, ethnic groups, technology, and best practices. We also have Hogar de Dallas, which recently started a Hispanic genealogy study group here in the library. And then library staff actually provides instructional sessions and special events throughout the year in partnership with the Dallas Genealogical Society. And then, of course, there are the books and other materials. The recently dedicated Lloyd DeWitt Boxstrip Genealogy Collection is one of the top 5 genealogy collections in the U.S. I know this because David Rencher, Chief Genealogical Officer of Family Search, said so. And I don't really argue with David Rencher. Our collection of books, microfilm, maps, and atlases span all 50 states, as well as many international locations. I've had a lot of people tell me, I've researched here in years past, and I don't really need to come in anymore. But I'm here to tell you, we are constantly adding materials to the collection, whether it's local histories, state histories, all kinds of different materials. So if you haven't been, I would encourage you to come back and check out our new resources. What I thought would be fun for this presentation, and you may just consider humoring me, but I thought it would be fun to share some of the things that I've been able to find about my family history here at the library and through using library services. So just so you get an idea of what you might be able to find here that's not online or that you might not have access to at home to kind of look at. So this was one of the very first things that I found when I came to this library. It is a book on the Knowles family, which is one of my mom's lines, and it was written actually by my mom's first cousin. We had never seen this book before, but it is here at the library, donated by the cousin. It was bound and it was just ready for some relative to come along and look at it. What I just found so fascinating about it is this cousin went and interviewed both of my great-grandparents. My great-grandfather had passed away by the time I came around, but I did get to meet my great-grandmother. But of course, as a 5-year-old, you don't really ask, when did y'all first meet? But this book actually contains stories that my great-grandfather told to this cousin, and it's written down in just story format, and he recorded it. He recorded how the great-grandparents met, their first date, and their wedding day. This is an irreplaceable treasure that I'm so glad exists at this library for future generations to find. And thank you very much, Cousin Steve. Now, this is my caveat. family history research is not always as easy as popping a book open and finding all of your family history written on in such a lovely format. Um, there are family lines where you might work on for years without finding that one piece of information that solves your whole problem. For instance, I'm currently working on a project in a county with some burned records, and try as I may, I cannot find the maiden name of one of my great grandmothers. So I'm working through it. Tracing land records and working my way back through each person that I think may be connected. So it's a process, but I really enjoy um, finding those hidden clues and working a problem through in a way um, that it's just showing how to put those pieces of the puzzle together. But I want to give that caveat that you can't show up for like during your lunch and find all of your family history. We're good, but we're not that good. Okay, I wanted to talk some more about what we collect here in the genealogy section. We, of course, collect records and record transcriptions. We collect guides and how-to resources. We collect family and local histories, social and ethnic histories, military histories, and primary source materials. But what we are really working on right now is trying to find out-of-box resources that will help you better understand how your ancestors lived. So it's more than just trying to find your ancestor's name in a book. It's trying to piece what their life was like and put that into context. For instance, we look for books on laws and statutes that would give clarification to why a probate record would be worked its way out like it did. Or we might have books on handwriting to help you decipher certain records. And then we look for books on culture, like what was it truly like to get divorced in early America? Our goal is to continue to be a place that has material that's relevant for the research that you're doing and give context to your ancestors' lives. And as always, if you come across a book that you just think that we have to have, please let us know, and we'd love to add it to our collection. All right, this is the special collections of our special collection here. So we have some really cool resources that you might not know about because they are in very delicate condition and are one-of-a-kind resources that you might not know about. One of our special collections is our funeral home records of the Dallas area. We have the Ed C. Smith Funeral Home Collection and the McGowan Funeral Collection. These are really untapped resources where you might find death certificates, obituaries, even sometimes a funeral program from the actual funeral itself. For instance, I actually found a great-grandmother who was buried here in Dallas with Ed C. Smith. So I was so excited. I pulled her folder and I expected to find all this information about who her parents were, where they went, because they're lost. That's a whole other story. But what I did not find that. But what I did find is handwritten notes from the undertaker who actually went and met with the family who is burying this great-great-grandmother. And he has notes of who was present at the meeting. He has notes on why they chose Ed C. Smith as for their undertaker needs. And it just kind of gave you context on, how this family who hadn't been in Dallas very long kind of came together to bury this member of their family and make the arrangements to bury her next to her husband. So I think things like that are so important, even if they don't give you hints on how to get farther back, they do give you context to their lives. Another wonderful thing that we have is our drawers and drawers of donated family files. These are treasure troves of information. Researchers who've been here before, who aren't doing book-like resources, are free to leave files of loose paper for future researchers. These can be anything from original photos to um, we may have an SAR application. We may even have just family pedigrees that they've worked on over the years. These are really neat because you never know what you might find and what the next researcher may bring. Part of our project for last year was to actually get more cabinets so that we can continue to expand our family file collection. So we've gotten a whole second cabinet, and we are still taking any research that will fit into a file folder that you'd like to leave for the next researcher. The last thing that I want to talk about is our family Bible collection. This is a collection of about 30 Bibles that was started in the 1970s, and we still continue to take family Bibles with family information today. This is an important resource that not many people know about, and we're working to make this collection more accessible to researchers through scanned images in our catalog. So one thing that I wanted to talk about as well is when you're here, you may be finding lots and lots of things and not have enough money to make paper copies or not want to pay for paper copies. That's me. I don't necessarily want to. We have all of these wonderful scanning stations now where you can actually bring a little jump drive, USB, and you can make all of your scans for free. This goes for microfilm and microfiche. We have scanners for that, as well as we have an open book scanner for more fragile items, and we just have a regular book scanner as well. And then we also have additional resources in our Heritage Lab, which I'm going to talk about in the next section. But it's very easy to come in and make all the copies, all the scans that you'd like to make, and take them home and have them to look over like I do, maybe in the middle of the night. And then you end up finding all these things that you didn't take a look at the first time. Yes, they sure do. We just had a question. If some of our scanners had OCR recognition, and yes, they do. So that you can do searches throughout the things that you've scanned to find specific names or other information on the pages. It will recognize it if you do like a control find and you find the last name in the document. It's very cool technology. All right. I also wanted to talk about our database access. So we have 12 computers dedicated for genealogy and history researchers. Some are actually all are available to use in the library. Some are accessible from home with the Dallas Library card. But we've got some great resources, including the 2 new databases that Susan just talked about in her overview that DGS so wonderfully gifted us. I wanted to take a couple minutes and go through some of our other resources. We, of course, have Ancestry Library Edition. That is available from not only the 8th floor computers up here, but it is also available in branch libraries throughout the library system. So if it's more convenient for you to head to the Park Forest Library or the Fretz Park Library, if that's closer to your home, you can go there and get use Ancestry for free. We also have American Ancestors, which is brought to you by the New England Historic Genealogical Society, which it features a lot of original records for researching your colonial ancestors, not only New England, but mid-Atlantic states. We are a family search affiliate library, so we have access to all of the affiliate library records on family search. Also going to talk more about it in the second section. From home, you can actually access Fold 3, which is the military database, Genealogy Bank, the Dallas Morning News, and America's Obituaries and Death Notice. All of those feature like newspaper articles and different things that you might search through there, all provided by Newsbank. We have Heritage Quest, which is a text share database. So most libraries in Texas are text share databases. And if you're not a member of this library, you can actually have access to Heritage Quest with your home library card as well. You just ask for that access. I know all libraries are kind of different with the way they manage that. We also have the Handbook of Texas available, Sanborn maps for Texas, and several history and Native American databases, and also a hobby and craft reference center, which actually gives a lot of different articles on how to work on genealogy projects and different resources like that. Yes, sir. It is free of charge for City of Dallas residents. You can just log on from home with your Dallas library card. Correct. Yes, you just log on through the library's website. The question was, yes, sir. The question was the databases that you can access from home. Is there an additional charge from that? And we just talked about how they are free for City of Dallas residents. You would just log on from our website, dallaslibrary.org, and put in your card information, and that would be how you would log on. I've taught, sorry, technical difficulty. I've talked a lot about the 8th floor already, but I wanted to make sure to also talk about our sister floor, the 7th floor, which is Dallas History and Archives. Dallas History and Archives is such a cool place as well. They have books and materials for Dallas and all over Texas that can also help you with your research. They have a special collection of yearbooks that have been donated over the years. So if you are interested in taking a look at your great-grandmother's school pictures, they might be available. They have a huge collection of city directories, maps, newspapers on microfilm, including the ever elusive Dallas Times Herald, which is a whole saga in and of itself. But that is available on microfilm. For Dallas specifically, they have a huge vertical files collection, which I say vertical files, and that doesn't really explain truly what it is. But for years and years, they had staff cut articles out of the Dallas Morning News and the Times Herald, and they would group them by subject. So you may, this is what I did. I went down and I needed a folder on researching West Dallas, and they came out with about 6 different folders. They're actually all grouped by decade. And so it starts in like the 1930s, 40s. And so you'll go through and you can see the history of West Dallas through these clipped articles. And it's very fascinating to look at. And not only do they have like certain Dallas areas and neighborhoods, they also have organization files. So if you're researching a particular organization in Dallas, major Dallas figures, they have files on them. You can just request them at the desk, and they'll bring them out. Other things that they have include a huge photograph collection of Dallas throughout the years. They have the Dallas Civil Court records and naturalization records, and then they have a plethora of manuscript collections, including most recently they have the Oakland Cemetery record collection, which is very cool. I'm going to change a little bit. Say you can't necessarily find what you are looking for in this 8-story building. It happens. Our library staff can actually help you use what we call interlibrary loan. Interlibrary loan uses a huge catalog called WorldCat, and it's actually the largest library catalog in the world. All the libraries use this catalog to list what they have available. It can be accessed from worldcat.org or through your local library. And so through there you can request the actual book or copies if the book is like a rare one-of-a-kind family history that they're not going to let go of. You can actually request a certain number of copies. Yes, sir. It does list libraries in Europe. WorldCat does. I don't. So the question was, does it include libraries in Europe? I know that it does include libraries in Europe. Most of their resources are going to be in the language of the country, so that might be one of the reasons. But I have found, right, yes. So I found kind of one-of-a-kind German books that I was trying to get my hands on only in Germany. If you're using WorldCat and you see the item nearby, you might consider visiting the library in person. Most libraries in Texas participate in something called TechShare, which allows you to check out materials from participating libraries if the materials are allowed to leave. Otherwise, you can also make copies while they're there. Most places have either copy machines or scanners. I thought it might be fun to share my big interlibrary loan success story. I don't only have Southern ancestors. I do also have my dad's family, which is all from the Middle East. Both my grandparents were actually immigrants who came over in 1912 and 1920. So you can understand that might be just a tad bit more difficult to research. And what I kind of went to look to do was to look for basic histories of the towns, because I did know the towns where they were from. So I did a couple of basic searches through WorldCat to see, what's out there, what's available, what is in English that might be helpful to me in my research. And lo and behold, I find a pictorial history of Ramallah, which is the town that my grandfather is from. So very excitedly, I placed the order. It was at Georgetown University Library in Washington, D.C. And you could actually check out the actual book. So they sent it to me. I ran downstairs and I picked it up. And here is a photo. The gentleman on farthest from me is my grandfather. The woman in the middle is my great-grandmother. And the gentleman with the mustache is my great-uncle. I've never met any of these people. I don't know how the photo got in the book. I do know that my grandfather went back to visit his mother in 1948. He had not seen her since he was 20 years old and left. That is the only time that he ever saw her again, was this visit. And he came back home and lived the rest of his life here in Texas. But somebody snapped that photo. So you really never know what might be available that is going to give you further clues into your family history. You still do need an individual account to access family search records, but I do have slides for that in our next section. If you could hold the question, we'll get there. All right, so we're going to talk about some updates that we've been working on to better meet the needs of an ever-changing genealogy landscape. One thing that I'm very proud of is that we have easier to browse shelves. Our state books, if you've researched here before, were grouped by state, but you had to write down a bunch of call numbers before you could get to the books that you wanted. We have gone through and labeled all of our county books, so you can actually walk to the shelf now and pull the books for your county, and maybe not even have to write down any call numbers at all if you don't want to. What I really enjoy about this is it breaks a very large collection up into sections, so that what we consider like the large general section at the beginning that covers all of the state-based resources that aren't specific to counties, these are actually way more easier to browse because they're smaller now and you're not weeding through thousands of books. So you can very easily eyeball and pick out the 1867 voter registration for Texas. You can very easily see where the older Texas history books are. I really feel like it's made the collection easier to use. We've actually seen increased usage of books, which is good. One collection that we have is called No Land, Only Slaves. And that book collection actually increased by over 200% because people were able to find it. It was under a weird call number, and actually going in and grouping it by county and having that easier to browse area really allowed people to find it more easily. That's a great question. The question was, where are our oversized books now? And many of them are still in our special oversized section. Eventually, we'd like to see them migrate over, but they do now have, if you're looking in the catalog, they do have a oversized shelf designation, so you know that they're in the oversized section. That was a special project under that. So we've also worked to have more books available to check out and take home. we have actually behind us 66,000 books in our history collection that can help supplement your research, from maps to atlases to books like the one here that you might not be able to see, which is called Settling South Carolina and covers a certain time period. We also have things like the latest version of Professional Genealogy and the Family Tree Toolkit. All things that you may want to sit at home reading in your fuzzy slippers, they are able to be checked out and read more in depth. You can use your Dallas Library card or your TechShare card to check them out. So the question that we very often get asked is, what about that one-of-a-kind family history research book that only like 4 libraries have in WorldCat? Well, unfortunately, we still don't allow checkouts for those books. However, what we do have is our wonderful Family Search volunteers that have been digitizing our family history books. So since September 2018, our Family Search volunteers, who are here 40 hours a week, like they work here too. They have been scanning our rare genealogy materials, the ones that are not under copyright restrictions. Right now, there are 2,700 books from the Dallas Public Library available on the Family Search website. So we're just so thrilled that that those are more available for people from not just who don't want to come down to the library, but from all over the world who can access those books. Our volunteers, Jeff and Allison, who are here today, wave, Jeff and Allison, work so hard to make these materials available. You may ask, how do I access these books? Family Search has a digital library, familysearch.org. I have the address here. However, if you just go to familysearch.org, click books, it'll give you the screen at the top. You can actually type in a last name into that search box, and it will actually go through and bring back everybody with that last name that might have a book. You will need a free Family Search account to view the books, so you will have to have that log on, but I promise they're not trying to send you a lot of email. It's fine. They are not. The question was, do you have to be a member of the Mormon Church to view the books? And well, right now we're talking about the books that are digitized from our library. And for the books that are digitized from our library, all you need is the free account, the non-church member account to view these. I know that the church has some records that are available for family members. So Jeff, our volunteer from Family Search, just kind of clarified things for us. He said that some exclusive memberships and partnerships may be through like Find My Past and My Heritage, only for church members, but those are different than what we're talking about for the books. Right, that is actually a later slide as well. Still talking about the books, I did want to point out that if you are in our library catalog, you can actually see a link to the Family Search electronic copy. So if you're at home late at night, like I very often am, and you're searching our library catalog, dallaslibrary.org, you may see this web link that says there's a Family Search electronic copy. So you can click on that link and use your free Family Search account to log on and view that book in the middle of the night, which is fun for all of us. I wanted to talk too about one of our most recent projects, which is the launch of our creative spaces throughout this library building. These are very neat spaces that we've kind of carved out of unused areas of the Central Library. This has been such a great project to work on. We've created what you might term as like maker spaces that fit in with each subject floor of the building. So the third floor, which is known as Literature, Language, and Religion, they have actually one of the largest fiction collections in the U.S., have actually launched a story center, which has recording and podcasting equipment so that you can record and tell all kinds of different stories. All of this equipment is actually free to use. They just require that you actually complete a short online training, and they'll give you information about how to use the equipment. You can go in, you can make a podcast, you can record an oral history. There are all kinds of different things that you can do in this space. They even have a green screen if you're wanting to make some kind of in-depth video. It sure doesn't. Anybody can use this space. The question was, do these spaces require library cards? And they do not. We do require you to check in at the desk and complete the training, but you don't have to have a library card. The fourth floor, which is all things fine arts, has actually added a fiber arts workroom, which features sewing machines and hands-on sewing classes. So if there is anything that you wanted to learn in the fiber arts area, whether it's to make quilts, if you are taking care of a family heirloom, they are happy to help you out there. And then the 8th floor, again, very partial to the 8th floor, we have the Heritage Lab, which has been generously supported by the Dallas Genealogical Society. In the Heritage Lab, you are able to make digital copies of books, manuscripts, letters, large scrapbooks, photos. You're also able to digitize VHS tapes of home movies that you may have taken over the years. You can also bring in your Super 8 and 8mm film, your audio cassettes, and any slides and negatives. This is a really cool resource. Like we just said, all of this is free to use. You do not need a Dallas Library card, and it's a way to make your family histories more accessible to share with your family members, regardless of what kind of material that it might be on that makes it unavailable. Not all of us still have VHS players. No, as a researcher, you are allowed to make a fair use copy for your own personal work. The question was, is a whole book covered by copyright? Yes, the question is it considered fair use? And yes, as a personal scholar, if you're using it for your own personal research, you can make copies of the material. Well, I wouldn't put it online, so you can get sued by the author, but as long as you're using it for your personal research and your personal copy, you can make a copy. All of the other VHS tapes, like please don't bring in your 1987 copy of Top Gun. We do ask that you only bring in home movies. We do not allow copies to be made of AV materials. Yes. The question was, do you have somebody to help? Yes, we, how this works is you can actually make an appointment to use the Heritage Lab. You let us know what material you would like to digitize. We actually have a website, Dallas, which we're covering in a later slide, dallaslibrary.org /creative spaces. It features training, online training for each piece that we require you to complete prior to using it, but we also staff a person to get you set up and get you on your way so you're not completely fumbling in the dark, because this is more complicated equipment than we're used to. The next part of that is, well, what's creative about making digital copies? This is the part that I'm very excited about. We have Adobe Creative Suite on each one of the computers. So that includes Photoshop, Premiere, Lightroom, Illustrator. So you can actually use the software to restore family photos, edit your home movies and audio files. And from there, you can do a bunch of different things. You can take all your photos and you can make your photos into a video. You can perhaps splice together. I have a very crazy VHS tape that we have from our camcorder from the early 90s. And you can actually edit and make a video for just one family member. I found my niece had her first Christmas and nobody remembered that we videoed it. And she is about to have her first baby on March 18th. So I made a special video for her so that she has her first Christmas available to show her little boy. You can also use some of the layout design equipment. One of my dreams is to have a class on how to make a layout for your own family cookbook, or put together your own family history book using pictures and scanned slides and different material from there. So we have classes on this coming soon, hopefully at the end of April. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about our newest databases and a little bit about more about our Family Search affiliate library records. So hopefully it answers y'all's questions. First up is History Geo, which I so encourage y'all to check out. It is built by Airfax Publishing, who did all of the, they did all of the family history map books, the Texas land surveys. They've taken all of the data from all of these books and they've compiled it into an interactive map where you can actually just search by last name. It's such a cool resource, and it actually shows my favorite kind of map, the ones with the land clearly outlined and the names smack dab in the middle. So there's no guesswork on it. Here is an example of a search that I did. I searched for one of my early Texas people, who is Harris Jonsson. And from this, I was able to see that he actually owned multiple areas of land over in the East Dallas area towards Hunt County. And one thing that I actually brought up, if you can kind of squint out here, is that this land actually went to, originally the grantee was the descendant or the heirs of John Jonsson, which I had never seen before. I was just looking for my guy, Harris, and hadn't really seen this before. And the really cool thing is that at the bottom here, it actually links to the GLO, General Land Office website, and you can actually view the original land records that they've actually digitized and scanned in. So we're going to look at that. So this is an affidavit that was included in the packet of land information, and it actually is a sworn affidavit that John Jonsson, who has a gravestone in North Carolina, and I never knew actually came here. This is a sworn affidavit that he and his family came here and settled. So I've got a little bit more research to do as to why he has a gravestone in North Carolina and an affidavit that he lived here. So you never really know what you might find in your research. We also have newspaperarchive.com, which I urge you all to check out. We've been having so much fun among our staff looking different things up through these great digitized newspapers. They have papers from all over the U.S. and several foreign countries, which I'm very excited to kind of delve into. We've literally had this about a week and a half, but we've already gotten into lots of genealogy trouble. So the local Texas newspapers are really great. Here are some things that I've been able to find. I found a great picture of my grandmother who opened her dress shop in 1951 in downtown Victoria. There's an entire description of what the original store looked like, how apparently she is sitting on a red velvet settee with my Aunt Jeanette, and which is really neat because the shop was actually in existence through the 90s, so almost 50 years of service to the downtown Victoria area, but there were no red settees, so it's interesting to see how it changed over time. Another neat thing I found that my family got a kick out of was it also has Austin papers. I found a picture of my mom posing for an article on phosphate content in laundry detergent. And I sent that to her and I said, "What is this?" Well, she was a journalism major and they needed a model to pose for this article. And so she is pretending to analyze the phosphate count of the detergent. And one of the things that thrilled me the most was I did find a birth announcement for my dad. And this talks about how Mrs. Pete Erik, which is my grandmother, and infant son were transported home on February 7th. It describes not only their address, but it describes the specific ambulance that brought them home. And I can't decide whether that was because it was in the middle of a snowstorm and they were nervous or whether that was just what they did, but I'm going to look into that more and let you know. So I was going to talk more about our Family Search affiliate library records real quick. Not only do you have access to books, but you may run into this problem if you're home. If you see the arrow to the right, it says the image is available, but it can be accessed at the Family History Center or the Family Search affiliate library. Now, the Dallas Public Library is a Family Search affiliate library. So when you get that affiliate library message, you can come here and view this image on our computers without getting that message. If you just see the Family History Center message without any affiliate library involved, at that point, you do have to go to a Family History Center, which would be staffed by the LDS Church and have special portals that give you access to view those records. And it's just that's dependent on the agreement that whoever holds those records makes with Family Search that makes those restricted, unfortunately. Yes. That's a good question. The question was, is the affiliate library just the 8th floor, or does it include nearby branches of the library? And unfortunately, it's only here in this building that we're the affiliate library. So I did also want to talk about the plethora of Family Search images that are available. I know many of us just like to go in and research by typing in the last name and seeing what results pop up. But that's actually only 20% of Family Search's images are actually indexed. So if you think about it, there are thousands and thousands of unindexed images, and they've actually added a little tab for images so that you can browse through what's not indexed yet. And I urge you to try that out because it's brand new. You can search by location and access those records that way. Personally, since I am a librarian, I do still prefer to go through the online catalog because it lists everything and it's just more organized for my soul. So I'm going to show you how that works. So right now we're looking at a record for burial and interment records for Dallas. This is the Grove Hill Memorial Cemetery, but they do also have Oakland Cemetery records here as well, and you would access them the same way. I just wanted to be different. If you see, I put a lot of arrows at the bottom pointing to these cameras. If you actually click on the camera, you are taken into a digitized image of the microfilm. So what that looks like is you can actually scroll through just like you would a microfilm and look at this card. It has an obituary. It has all of this information that you're not going to find by typing in a first and last name. So make sure to search the catalog or the images by location, the location that you're researching, so you get that full encompassing information that Family Search has hidden. And then I just wanted to talk a little bit more about a heritage quest. It is brought to us by the TechShare system, the Texas Library and Archives Commission. So this is accessible pretty much from whatever library you're at if they're a participating TechShare library, which most are. Heritage Quest has always been most known for having censuses available. So they have the full run of all of the census images, but they have actually been in partnership with Ancestry and ProQuest, and now they've added a lot more records that you might not really know about. And that includes, I was thrilled to see all of the will and probate records that are on Ancestry are actually now on Heritage Quest. So if you don't have a subscription to Ancestry, there are resources from Ancestry on Heritage Quest, which you can access for free. It also includes Revolutionary War pensions, the U.S. serial set, which is a great resource, and cemetery records, public records, and city directories. So that's worth a second check if you haven't been on Heritage Quest in a while. Now, this last section, I'm almost done. This is going to be your call to action. This is how you're going to use the library to really take advantage of all of the cool things that we have available for free. Attend events and programs. Susan kind of gave you an overview of all the really neat DGS events they have coming up. You can see that full calendar of genealogy events on dallasgenealogy.org. We as a library are launching a whole bunch of different programs that you might have interest in coming up. A couple things I wanted to spotlight was that we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of women getting the vote. So we've got a lot of programming coming up on that. And then I'm sure Christine's going to tell you about this next month, but I'm going to give you a sneak preview. We have a vault in this building on the 7th floor of very rare and fine books, and they are going to be profiling these resources every month for the next few months, an exclusive Treasures from the Vault Live, where Christine actually will present a certain unique resource from the vault, and you get to actually view it without any glass, without any gloves. You can actually look at this really cool resource. It includes everything from a scroll of presents to Queen Elizabeth I that they embroidered with all of her gifts. That's how they did thank you notes. It also includes some original Bibles, some clay tablets that are thousands of years old. And my personal favorite, there's going to be a Alice in Wonderland themed event with rare copies of Alice in Wonderland, including a Salvador Dali illustrated Alice in Wonderland. So all of these can be looked at on our library calendar, which is dallaslibrary.librarymarket.com, or you can go to dallaslibrary.org and click on events. The Treasures from the Vault Live does require registration, a free registration. So it's good to go to that calendar and sign yourself up, because I think it's going to be big. You can also make an appointment to use the Heritage Lab, which we just kind of talked about initially. You can make an appointment, let us know what you are looking to digitize, whether it's slides, your home movies, and what have you. You can call our main desk, or you can email us at libcreativespaces@dallascityhall.com. You can also just access our Creative Spaces link from our main website, and that lets you know about equipment, online training, upcoming classes. It's all there. We encourage you to use our new databases at the desk. We always have staff at our reference desk dedicated to helping you get on a database or figure out how to navigate one. We also keep up with the latest genealogy books and materials and are happy to show you those. You can also go to our website, dallaslibrary.org/genealogy, and stay up to date on the latest books that come in and different resources that might be available. And lastly, we always encourage you to come volunteer with us. And the exciting part of that is if you are not a Dallas resident and would like to volunteer 20 hours with us, you can actually get a Dallas Public Library card, which includes e-content and database access for 1 year. So that's a little incentive if you are interested in doing that. Right now, we are looking for some volunteers to help us with tagging items for RFID. It's a little radio frequency tab that goes in the back of every single book here. And our genealogy collection alone is at over 125,000 volumes. So you can imagine that that's taking a while. We also are always looking for people to work with us on the genealogy volunteer desk to help new researchers. You can volunteer your time to transcribe some Dallas records that we've been working on. We have been scanning original city permit books, and we need help transcribing those. So if you'd like to do that here, it can count as your volunteer time. And then if you have a special skill in scanning and digitizing, we're always looking for people to help us scan some of our collections. So we have all kinds of different opportunities open. If you visit our website and click the volunteer button, there's an online registration, and let them know you want to work with us on the 8th floor. All right. Are there any more questions? Jim. So with you can get a text share card, which at our library will enable you to check out 5 items that regularly circulate. And that is the option. You can also get an internet card that allows you to use the computers. But, you know, we don't really necessarily, if you're just doing genealogy research, we usually don't get you an internet card. So we just put you on the computer. Yeah, TEX. Yes. So, of course. So, and the Text Share program, there are 2 different aspects of the Text Share program. The first is databases. And what that is a consortium that provides a certain standard of databases to all participating libraries in Texas. So for instance, if you are in a very small rural library that might not be able to afford a lot of database access, participating in the Text Share program gives you access to a standard set of databases that are available for all libraries. So one example is Heritage Quest. So that should be available in all participating libraries. I know it's in all of the libraries in this area that I've looked into. Other things that it has is like Academic Search Complete, which lets you search for scholarly articles, things of that nature, but it's a basic set of databases for all Texas libraries. And the second part of that is a loan program of physical materials. And what you would do with that is you go to your home library, wherever you have your library card, and say, I would also like a Text Share card, please. And our cards are usually blue, but it might be different depending on the library that you're at. So they give you this little blue card. And this gives you borrowing privileges at any participating library. So for instance, if you are in Lancaster and you come to the Dallas Public Library, you need a book, you can actually check out up to 5 books with that card. And they just verify that, you know, you're a member of the Lancaster Library, and you use that card just like you would a Dallas Library card. Carolyn, please go ahead.
Oh, hello, Stephanie.
Hello.
This has been a very interesting presentation. I have a question. I am a DGS member, but I now live in Delaware. And you were talking about volunteer opportunities. Are any of the volunteer opportunities online that one could participate through the internet, or are all of these projects coming in to the 8th floor and volunteering in person?
Right now, it does involve volunteering in person, but
Okay.
it is on my list to get with our volunteer coordinator and see if there are any other ways that we can incorporate online and long distance volunteering.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? All right. Well, if you have any questions that you think of later, you can always contact me at the reference desk. And my email is stephanie.bennett@dallascityhall.com. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, that concludes our meeting for today. Thank you for coming. And April 4th is our next meeting. It will be back in the auditorium. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of the Dallas Genealogical Society. If you're already a member, thank you. Your membership dues are supporting this and other society activities. If you're not yet a member, I hope you consider joining. You can become a member for as little as $35 a year, and you can join by going to our website, dallasgenealogy.org, and clicking on the membership tab.